Hi, my name is Jason with Typhone. Welcome to the next installment of the Typhone Partner Spotlight webinar series. Today we're excited to welcome Mason and our friends from iPay here to talk to us about the future of payments. We'll give everyone 2 minutes to get logged in, and audio is set up and we'll begin in just a few minutes. Welcome to the next installment of the Typhone Partner Spotlight webinar series. Today we're excited to welcome Mason and our friends from iPay here to talk to us about the future of payments. Before we turn things over, a quick note. GoToWebinar puts everyone on mute and you are unable to unmute. So to ask questions, please type them in the question section and we'll read them at the end and respond to all questions then. Mason and team, thank you so much for joining us. Take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate it. Thank you all for joining and attending, and thank you to Typhone for allowing iPay to be a part of this partner spotlight. I think it's a great idea. My name is Mason Stoner. I've been with iPay for, I think, a little over 5 years now, and I've been in digital banking about 10 years. And my plan today is to spend the next 30 minutes giving you a high-level introduction to iPay, giving you an update on the payments industry and more specifically bill pay within the payments industry. I've got a bit of a PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint will walk through who iPay is, how we fit into the market, and some of our recent innovations, and what we're going to do in the future. And then I plan on actually walking through part of the iPay bill pay user interface to show you some of the highlights and new features we've come up with. And then, as Jason said near the end of the presentation, you can send in questions and over the chat, and we'll address a couple of them near the end. So with that, let me introduce you to iPay. And iPay is a part of Jack Henry. Just to help clear up any confusion out there, you may hear the name Jack Henry or Profit Stars when iPay is mentioned. Jack Henry's got multiple divisions, and iPay fits under the Profit Stars umbrella of Jack Henry. The bill pay world is not that large. I think it is growing, and I think bill pay adoption is increasing, especially with a lot of the recent innovations that just make bill pay easier and easier, and that much more of a smarter tool to use. At this point, I think the kind of the final frontier for bill pay is the ability to pay faster, pay with new methods, and really just awareness in general. A lot of people aren't aware that there is now a really pretty productive tool that they can use at their credit union's website in order to pay bills. So the bill pay world, as I said, is not that large. In other words, there are not a whole lot of the larger providers out there. But iPay really pushed and developed their bill pay system a number of years ago. And if my information is correct, we are still the largest bill pay provider in the United States in the terms of the number of institutions that have bill pay at all and who they use as their provider. We've got about 3,500 clients nationwide, and we're serving a little bit more than half of all the credit unions in the entire country for bill pay. Note that we have a consumer and a business bill pay platform, which I'll get into in a few minutes. iPay's headquarters is located in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and a lot of our employees are spread out working remotely throughout the country. Overall, we have about 7 million subscribers, sending more than 15 million payments per month. And I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. If we could mute the other lines. We have P2P embedded inside of bill pay. And so if you move forward with iPay, we have P2P we can provide to you, and we're processing about 750,000 P2P transactions per month. And we're also processing a little over $8 billion per month in payments. So what sets iPay apart? If you are to consider a bill pay provider, there are a couple things that I think make iPay stand out in the market. Number one is our API-driven technology. What this means is that we agreed a couple of years ago to at least try our best to release every new update we have to both the interface that we've created and the API at the same time. That allows innovative companies like Typhone to integrate to iPay with an API like they do for their mobile platform. So most all features that I'm going to show you today and we're going to discuss are available inside of iPay's API. What also sets us apart is our experience and proven history with Typhone. I consider them friends. I've worked with them for a long time. And we do have existing clients together already, and the integration exists. In addition to that, longevity is a Jack Henry company. Jack Henry is a very financially stable company, which means we're not at risk of an acquisition. I think we'll be around for a long time, and we have been around a long time. iPay was founded back near the 2000s, and we were acquired by Jack Henry in 2010. So we've been here a long time and have updated ourselves with the times. And I don't know this for a fact, but I think we have significantly more employees dedicated to iPay than any other bill pay provider at about 325 full-time employees today. Tier 1 and Tier 2 support, I'll mention in a minute. Those are some unique support options you have that we can help provide to your members. And also, if you did have iPay Bill Pay, we provide you with access to the Resource Center. And what that means is that we've got a bunch of pre-designed marketing materials you can use to help drive adoption for bill pay. And then the Business Bill Pay Suite, we are not going to focus on today, but just to give you a high-level overview of what it is, Consumer Bill Pay enables two people to do the same tasks within bill pay, same credentials. They have the same rights and entitlements. It's essentially just access from two different people. Business Bill Pay allows any number of people to sign up for bill pay and to pay the bills. And if you are the administrator or primary user at the business, you can delegate a lot of these tasks out to the sub-users. In other words, you can control, if you want to add somebody to bill pay who works at the company to manage your outgoing cash flow, you can assign them so that they can only pay certain merchants, they can only pay from certain pay-from accounts, they can only pay certain dollar amounts and really control of who they can pay, really. So we do have a Business Bill Pay Suite. This next slide, I'm going to move to Tier 1 support and talk about that for a minute. Tier 1 support is an optional service that iPay provides, and what this means is that iPay can actually answer the phone and live chat requests from your members or customers when they have questions about bill pay. What we do is we put a 1-800 number inside the bill pay interface, and your members can dial that, and we answer the phone if you select this service. Our goal is to provide the best call center we possibly can, and we've had Tier 1 support for a long time. We do it Monday through Friday, 7:30 in the morning to 2 a.m. Eastern. I would say about 80% of our clients use this. And the appeal is that we believe it's a better experience for the end user because when they call, we can answer the phone quickly and we can answer all of their questions. We are the bill pay experts. And the other appeal is that it makes life easier at your credit union or bank because we can take that support off your shoulders. We can do this all day long. We can also do after-hours support. So if you wanted to take the phone calls during the day, let us answer the phones in the evening, or we can only do this for a period of months if you were to convert to iPay. So we could do it, for example, for the first 3 months after moving to iPay. We answer the phone very quickly. So 85% of our calls are answered in less than a minute. And the average wait time, late last year, the latest statistic I got was about 37 seconds average wait time. And it is a US-based call center. It's just employees at the iPay headquarters. So that is a Tier 1 support. And as I said, that is an optional service. And Tier 2 support means that even though contractually you can sign through Typhone to get iPay bill pay, you would still maintain a direct relationship with iPay. And that is standard. Overall electronic ratio. This means if we are to send 100 payments out the door, how many of those would be electronic payments and how many of those would be checked? It's important to consider Because ideally, you would like as many payments to go out as electronic payments as possible. And today we are at 83.14%. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. I apologize for that. Somebody might not be on mute. So 83.14% being our electronic ratio. But we are developing some new features and have finished a couple new features that might increase that electronic ratio quite a bit. I'll mention in a minute. A quick slide on conversions. We have conversions happening pretty frequently at iPay. We average around 14 conversions to iPay from another bill pay provider per month. So we're very familiar with conversions. We handle them all the time. We've got our own processes, and it gets more and more effective every year. We can pull in future dated payments. We can pull in reoccurring payment schedules, as well as payees added to the bill pay system, and even history from your previous bill pay provider. So the idea is if you wanted to convert to iPay, we would shut you down one day and bring you back when we go live a couple days later, and it would still feel like home to the bill pay user because their payees and future dated payments and all those scheduled payments would pull into our system. And this slide here is a slide I put together of just a recap of the most recent and what I would say the most significant innovations are over the last 2-ish years. We developed a brand new user interface for consumer bill pay as well as business bill pay. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And the second bullet point here is a really big development. For a long time, credit unions and banks have been asking bill pay providers, how can our users pay bills with more than just electronic, ACH, or check? And we finished a new feature called Card Pay. It's called iPay Card Pay, and it now means that the users can pay some of their merchants with credit and debit cards. We are working with Typhone to enable this, so I think it's very shortly going to be available. And what it means is that now, instead of just using traditional payments, they can input their credit cards if that merchant accepts it, pay with their credit card. The value is kind of twofold. The value to the end user is that a lot of end users want to get those reward points, and I can relate to that myself. I think, as I mentioned early on, that's one of the final frontiers in the bill pay industry. People really want to collect those reward points, whether it's miles or cash back, and I like to collect that myself, so I understand it. And now they can do that, and you also get faster acceptance when you pay with a credit card. And the benefit to the institution is that you have the option to narrow it down to your credit and debit cards, which means it'll drive additional card transactions to your card platforms and might even bring in some additional revenue to the institution. So that's called Card Pay. We improved our e-bill offering a couple of years ago, and we're doing it once again. E-bills just continue to get easier and easier, and I'll explain what they are in a minute. Quick Pay. We also developed a way for iPay to integrate to Alexa devices. So if you wanted to sit in your living room and speak to an Alexa device, you can say, hey, Alexa, pay my electricity bill, and that can integrate to iPay on the back end. We improved our P2P process. You can now send a P2P request to somebody's cell phone. Originally, it was somebody's email address, but if you can type in their cell phone number, they can get the pay request to their cell phone, and they can receive the money that way. And they can also receive P2P requests over Visa debit card, and that means that the payment can be faster, has the potential to be a same-day payment. We have a new funding model available. Within the last few years, we enabled this for any credit unions using Scimitar. I'll explain our funding models in a few minutes. And as I said, we updated our business bill pay interface and updating our administration site interface. Our administration site for iPay is called Master Site. One of the things I wanted to point out is that inside of the administration site, you have the ability to chat live with an iPay support person. So if you're inside the administration site completing your daily tasks, or you want to run a report, maybe you have a question on how to get to the reports or how to run a certain report, or any number of questions, you can chat live with an iPay representative inside the admin tool. And a couple of things we're working on in 2020. I mentioned we're enhancing our e-bill solution once again, so that one of the things we're working on is with the enhanced e-bill solution, credentials to the e-bill merchants are updated constantly with iPay. So let's say you have Verizon as payee, and you go to Verizon's website, you change your credentials. That wouldn't disable the connection to the merchant for e-bills, because we would receive those updated credentials. It would continue to work. Some merchants won't even require you to enter your credentials to activate an e-bill. We're also working on some real-time payment initiatives, investigating how we can enable real-time ACH within bill pay. And we are also finishing mobile optimizing all of our screens for consumer and business bill pay. And that's all for the PowerPoint. So with that, I'm going to get into the iPay interface here. This here, if you can see my screen, is the iPay interface that we updated. It's branded to your institution, so you wouldn't see Ovation up here, you'd see your institution's name. And this would plug neatly into the TiPhone interface for online banking. This updated interface is right now, it's responsive design, and some screens are mobile optimized, and later this year, every single page will be mobile optimized. You have the ability to pay by card, and I just wanted to give you an example of where we put that in our interface. So here's one pay by card option here. And at the top of the screen, we've added some new tabs such as payees, which is a nice, neat, organized way to view all of your payees added to the bill pay system. You can pay them here. You can edit them or delete them. We also have added a calendar page. Calendar page is just a calendar type view that is interactive, so you can see when you have payments leaving and how much they amount to. And you can click it to see how you arrived at a $200 payment leaving on, for example, the 25th. On the top right of the screen is an example of Tier 1 support I mentioned earlier. It would be a unique 1-800 phone number that we'll create for you, and we do support live chat. And our live chat service is the same fast response time that Tier 1 support has. We've also got some cool features that learn the behavior of the end user and optimize the screen based on who we think they're going to pay next. So if you are a bill pay user and you normally pay your mortgage and your car payment on the 5th of every month, well, it's the 30th, the 5th is coming up soon. So if we had that history and we knew your behavior, you could come in here and you could click our shortcut button, which also exists in business bill pay. And we would reorganize the payees, putting your mortgage and your car payment at the top of the page. Our system provides a lot of predictability. So we place a stamp here that says whether it's going to be an electronic or check payment. And on the right side of the screen, you have a quick snapshot of all of your pending transactions as well as your historical transactions. Now, one thing that we do differently than other bill pay providers is we put a barcode on the envelope of every check the iPay system sends out in the mail. What that allows your users to see within bill pay is they can see where the check is, like a tracking number. So it's just an added member experience feature. I'll give you a quick view of what that looks like. You come into the history page and you click view details, and you can see here, and this is all hypothetical, so it's not a live environment, but for example, you can see that your check just arrived at a local post office in, for example, Louisville, Kentucky. And then you can view the clear check either inside of bill pay or inside of online banking. So this helps them understand where a check might be if we did send a check payment out. Now, funding models are very important. We have 3 different funding models available. 2 of them apply to anybody, and 1 of them depends on which core you have. The one that depends on which core you have is called funds verification. It's essentially a core integrated bill pay model. And the advantage of that bill pay model is that we can verify funds before sending the payment, and we can hard post to the core. So that means that process would eliminate NSFs within bill pay, which is good for the member experience. Eliminating NSFs is just, it's a more comforting bill pay experience. And the other 2 funding models are called good funds and managed risk. Again, these 2 funding models apply to anybody. You don't have to have a specific core. The managed risk model is a popular funding model across the entire bill pay industry. A lot of clients I speak with are using a risk model today. And what that means is that the user does have the potential to go negative on these payments, but the benefit in the risk model is that the funds are debited the same day the merchant is paid. So if you have a payment leaving and arriving to the merchant on the 5th, the funds would be debited from your account on the 5th. So it's fast, but again, it does have the potential to go negative. The good funds model, available to everybody, slows the payment down by 2 days, but allows the institution to have the ability to log in, run an exception support, and cancel any payments that might trigger an NSF payment. So with most all bill pay features, we provide multiple options, and during implementation, we can ask you how you want to run your bill pay platform. If you're very risk averse, you might be attracted to the funds verification or good funds model. If you prefer the speed and the same day debit, you might prefer the risk model. So e-bills. For those of you who are listening to this who don't know what e-bills are, e-bill essentially means your bill pay provider integrates to a merchant to tell you how much you owe them. And this is very useful because before that existed, you had to go to the merchant's website or you had to call them or open up mail to figure out how much you owe them. And the truth is, if you're on their website, you might as well pay on their website. Well, once the bill pay providers started realizing this and figuring out that we need to improve our solution, we developed e-bills. Now the system can integrate to these merchants and tell you how much you owe. So it's very easy to integrate e-bills today. Today you enter in the credentials for that merchant, and then we will be able to tell how much you owe, when it's due by, and we can also provide the full-blown statement for that merchant. Not every merchant is eligible for e-bills, but we're expanding that list every day, and we have over 400 merchants available for e-bills today. And as I said, we're enhancing our e-bill solution so that to enable e-bills for some of these merchants, you won't even need to type in credentials. P2P, I'm shortening and just giving you a high-level overview of this, given our time frame, but it's a very easy P2P process. And one reason it's easy is because we use something called a keyword. A lot of P2P solutions I've seen, including bill pay solutions out there, require the recipient to create an account, which means a username and a password, typing in your social security number, and sometimes your mother's maiden name and make and model of your first car. A lot of people don't like typing in that information because it is not the credit union's or bank's website. So our system uses a keyword process, which means instead of typing in that sensitive information, you just type in a keyword that the sender, who's using iPay, creates. It's a one-time process and it's very simple. So if I were to pay somebody, I don't need to have any of their personal information. All I need to know is their name and their email address, or their name and their phone number. And if I have just their name and their phone number, I can send them money. I create a keyword. They will validate themselves, and they get to choose how they receive that money, whether it goes to their account via ACH or over a Visa debit card. So once they type in that keyword and once they validate themselves and once we've passed through a couple security features, it's a streamlined process. If I ever need to pay that person again, I just come into the bill pay interface and I would type in a dollar amount and I would click pay, and the money would go straight to their account to the information that they provided us. So again, P2P is included with iPay. iPay has a couple of unique features. One is gift pay. Gift pay allows you to send a nice cardstock check with a personalized background and a personalized message to somebody, and we do it for $2.99. So if it was, say you've got a nephew out of state and it's your nephew's birthday, you can come in here and you can select the occasion and you can type in $50 for a birthday gift, and then you can select a background that you prefer, and you can type in a personalized message, so happy birthday, whatever you want to say there. And what we do is we'll send an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, cardstock paper. The top 2/3 is a personalized background you selected with your message there. And the bottom third is a check that your nephew can tear off in cash for $50. In addition to that, we have, let's see where we are here. We've got the Resource Center. And the Resource Center, as I mentioned in the beginning, is a tool that we can use to provide you marketing materials for bill pay. Of course, the more users of yours that use bill pay, the better. It creates a much stronger relationship with that member or customer. And we've got a lot of different methods of providing marketing materials. We've got email campaigns for a lot of different situations. We've got email campaigns for P2P, business bill pay, conversions, and we've got different types of campaigns for power users. We've got fraud prevention within iPay, and we've got campaigns you can run to discuss fraud prevention. And we also have social media content. If you've been brave enough to take on a Facebook or a Twitter page, we've got content you can post there, as well as in-branch flyers and statement stuffers. So back to this interface, we can give you a presentation at any point if you want to iPay and discuss these in more detail. The best way to reach any of us is to reach out to your Typhone contact, whether that's Jason, Josh, or anybody else there, and they'll set you up with the iPay team based on your location. With that, I think we're a few minutes early, so I think we can turn it back over to Jason and see if Jason has received any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Mason. We did have one question. I think this might have been early on before you touched on it, but maybe you could touch on it one more time. Do you support payment through credit or debit cards? Or is there anything else that you can add to on making payments with credit and debit cards?
Yeah, that is a great question. I think it's a smart question because it's one of the biggest things we've developed at iPay in the last couple of years, and the answer is yes. So it's called iPay Card Pay, and iPay Card Pay means that for the eligible merchants, yes, you can pay by card. Again, we have a couple more tweaks to do before it's finally available to all of our customers through Typhone, but it won't be long. We've for the most part finished that, and it's essentially pulling in the merchant's payment portal to the iPay interface. A user doesn't know that; they don't see it, but that is how we're achieving it. And yes, so a lot of these merchants can be paid by card.
Excellent. Another question that just popped up too, asking about support with Zelle.
Sure. So Jack Henry is working on a Zelle solution. We've got a full team dedicated towards enabling Zelle. That being said, I don't have any dates for when that may be integrated to the iPay bill pay interface. It of course is going to depend on a lot of things, including what core you have. So it is something that is on our roadmap. Zelle integration is something we can help provide. But in terms of relating that to bill pay, I don't have a date on that yet.
Got it. And are there other current P2P systems that you guys are working with?
No, today all we use is our homegrown P2P system. That being said, if for any reason you do have a different P2P system, say you had Zelle or something else in place today, we can disable P2P.
All right. Any other questions? I'm just looking at the chat. Looks like we've covered the ones that have come through so far. Or any other comments, Mason, from you or your team?
I don't have any comments other than to say thank you, and we hope to talk to you all soon. And just to recap, the best way to reach us is through Typhone. So we work with them very closely. Reach out to Typhone, and they'll set you up with the right person.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Mason, and the team from iPay and Jack Henry. We really appreciate your partnership. If you have any questions about iPay and our current Typhone customer, please reach out to your account manager or our sales team, and we'd be happy to help you. If you're not a current Typhone customer, please feel free to reach out to Mason and the iPay team directly. Their contact info is provided in the webinar description. The webinar will be hosted as a recording on the Typhone website that you can access at any time. Again, thank you all. Thank you, Mason, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.